All right, we're talking about the top 2024 marketing trends, so let's get into it. So there's a lot of different trends floating around out there. Gary Vee has put out a few good ones, and pretty much like all the articles talking about this, videos, etc., they're all leaning towards the same 5 to 10. So I'm going to get into the ones that I think are going to help you moving forward and that we are starting to apply to our digital marketing. So number 1 is essentially content experimentation. I haven't had a lot of coffee today. Number 1, we got content experimentation. Why is that so hard for me to say? Well, what I mean by that is that it's kind of all about trying different types of content. The algorithms on social media platforms are constantly changing and it's impossible to keep up with. There's a lot of days where, to be honest, I wake up and I'm like, I wish social media wasn't a thing. But as a digital marketer and a CEO of a marketing company, I can't think like that. So the key is to basically try out a lot of different types of content and see what works. So if you're just sticking to the same, for instance, like you do only educational videos, change it up. Try like throw a meme in there. Try like a day in the life of, or, maybe a carousel post, or even try to bring in different topics. Like my personal page, I do a lot of comedy sketches, but I also have a podcast where I talk about cultural news type stuff. So I'm trying to experiment with using some of the news type stuff or more educational stuff on my comedy page, and just being more open to see if new things take off, because you never know what's going to happen. Again, like I said, these things are constantly changing and it's impossible to know exactly what's going to work. But a big thing is just really embracing trying new things. Just don't be scared of it. And even if some of them bomb, which this happens all the time to me personally, and I know it happens to our clients, don't let that deter you from trying new things. You really never know what's going to work. And I think a lot of different formats are going to become popular in 2024. Okay, number 2, I think that people are really going to value human interaction. And so things that people are talking about will be trendy are more like live chats, live videos, where you can really interact one-on-one with your customers or your followers, your subscribers, whatever platform you're on. Because I do think it's really about building that relationship and maintaining it and having an ongoing conversation rather than you being, this person up here who nobody can access. That's the cool thing about social media in general, is that it is so accessible to anyone. You can see your favorite celebrities doing their thing, or you can see your favorite influencers, the favorite business leaders. And so it's really about having that ongoing conversation and making sure that your followers, your customers, etc., really feel like you are seeing them and you're listening to them. You can ask questions, put polls in your Instagram story. Again, try different types of content and literally just ask your followers how they feel about it. And so just keeping that dialogue open, realizing that there are people on the other end of the content you're posting, and just really treating it like an actual friendship or relationship is going to be a big game changer. All right, number 3, you've probably heard this so much that you just want to tell everyone to shut up, but AI. AI is a thing, and sadly, as much as sometimes I don't like AI and it kind of freaks me out, and I think it's just a little dystopian in my personal opinion, you gotta embrace it because everyone else is starting to, and so if you don't, you're gonna start kind of falling behind. This includes everything from using ChatGPT to come up with some Instagram or Facebook, TikTok, whatever video ideas, whatever platform you're posting on. You could also use AI to schedule your social media posts, but just really embracing that this technology is here. It's not going away. If anything, it's just going to keep ramping up. There's so many different AI companies that are coming out, to be honest, daily. And so it is about embracing that. If you really are opposed to it, I'd to look at it, or I'd recommend that you try to look at it almost as a helper and a time saver. So if you can go into ChatGPT and just ask it to come up with 10 really awesome Instagram posts about a light fixture company, or I always think the weirdest company ideas, or a digital marketing agency, whatever. It's gonna shoot out 10 ideas, and you don't need to always use those ideas because sometimes they're not always the best, but it's going to save you a lot of time and probably also fuel the ideas that you already have. So just use it almost as like a partner in crime, and it's going to add to your productivity levels. And you don't want to be left behind in this. It happened so quickly in 2023 that AI really started taking over, and it's going to be infinitely faster and more involved in 2024. So just hop on board the AI train. Another trend that we started to see is in terms of influencer marketing. I don't think people are necessarily like over influencers. I think they're over like the very fake influencer thing. For instance, if you hire an influencer to promote like a drink, and you go to that influencer's page and you see that every other video they're promoting a different drink or, beverage or food or apparel, like it's hard to really trust them. So I think it's actually going to be trending more towards micro influencers that are in specific niches that you can then partner with long term instead of just individual posts. So I've been hearing a lot of chatter about this, basically emphasizing this like long-term partnership with influencers. And these influencers, like I said, they don't need to have like millions of followers. They can be more micro influencers, 10,000 followers, even 5,000 followers. And a lot of times those micro influencers have higher engagement rates than these super mega influencers who have millions of followers, who you're gonna have to pay thousands of dollars to promote your product. And, going back to the relationship building aspect, it is about really working with an influencer who is aligned with your brand, aligned with your values. It makes sense that they'd promote your product, not just like, let me hire anyone who has 500,000 followers, but it has nothing to do with my brand or product. So really narrowing down the influencer thing, I think is gonna help moving forward. Okay, number 5, and this is my favorite, but video is still going to be king. We make a ton of video content for our clients and for ourselves, and it really is the best way to reach people right now because people have very short attention spans. There is way less podcasts than there are blogs, for instance. I think there's a trend toward like away from the reading thing, which isn't always good, but we are inundated with so much information all the time. Video is going to stand out. And a lot of times it's the shorter the video, the more views you're gonna get right now. But just really staying on top of creating that video, it's the best way to get seen. And it's also the most organic way to grow your brand or business. If you just keep putting out organic content, and you could even run some of the videos as ads, think of it almost as like the top of your funnel. And then you're hooking them by providing value or information by these videos. And then once they catch on and they're getting established with your brand and they're realizing, hey, I like what they're posting, they're going to be more interested in your products or services. So we always like to explain that it is that top of the funnel thing that's easy, it's free, you can film anything on your iPhone, and it's gonna keep being popular. So embrace video. So another interesting trend that I've seen people talking about is what's called ephemeral content, meaning it's disappearing. So they're really starting to put more content on like stories that disappear after 24 hours, Instagram stories, Snapchat stories, TikTok stories, all the apps basically have them now. And it's about just not being super tied to the content you're putting out there. So feel free to experiment with that. Like throw up some videos on your story or stuff that talking to the camera that you wouldn't necessarily want to put on your feed, but that is, valuable and that will be gone in 24 hours. So it's like lower risk. You could be, I think, like more creative and put less pressure on yourself about it. And it's also more interactive. Like if you put a video of yourself talking to your followers on your story, it just does something. Like it creates that connection. You can ask them questions. And again, there's no pressure because it's going to be gone in 24 hours. You don't need to leave it up on your feed. Number 7, content automation. So going back to AI, there are a lot of AI platforms that will help you automate your content or just consistently come up with those content ideas way faster manner than just like racking your brain for them, which you should still do. Like it's good to flex those muscles. I wouldn't become totally dependent on these robot futuristic things, but it's a good way to generate more ideas and then automate your content. Make sure you're putting out content consistently. There's also planning tools. Like at WMa&x, we use a program called Metricool, and it allows you to just plan all your posts in advance. You could schedule them, you could schedule stories, you could do everything you can when you post, but it makes it a lot easier when you're batching your content that way, especially if you want to be really consistent. What we like to do is shoot maybe once or twice a week, a ton of content. We'll shoot for a few hours straight, sometimes 5-6 hours. You don't need to do that, but even shooting for 30 minutes an hour, getting that content and then having that for a week, 2 weeks, etc. It saves you time and you have that batch like backup of content, so you don't need to feel the pressure of every single day like, oh my gosh, I need to wake up and film something, or I need to post this. It really does make your posting and the content you're putting out more consistent. And I think more and more people are going to be doing this. Okay, lastly, this is my favorite. And again, people have been talking about this, but I think that going into the new year, people are going to be focusing more on profitable growth versus vanity metrics. For instance, it's basically about building followers who are actually really engaged with your brand or business and would become customers or consumers of your products, your services, etc. And not focusing on that like, I need 1 million followers, I need 10,000 followers, I need 20,000 followers. Because cool, maybe you have 500,000 followers, but if none of those people want to buy your service and they're just looking at you because they think you're like hot or funny or whatever it is, that's great. But at the end of the day, you want to make money. So less about the vanity and how many views, how many followers can I get, and more about like really dialing in on those followers who you feel like you can build a community with and who really get you. I think it's been harder than ever to grow on Instagram specifically right now. And so you get hung up. It's very easy to get hung up on your followers or your view count. And there's all these like Instagram growth experts that I always see, and they're just like, we need to get 100,000 followers, 200,000 followers. But some of the platforms, I've had my most amount of followers on TikTok, for instance, like 300,000 followers, and those people weren't buying my products. I had a Spotify podcast based off of those followers, and it wasn't translating to viewers or listeners. Some of them did, but you hear 300,000 people and you think, wow, they're gonna have tens of thousands listening, but it didn't. And I think it's because at the end of the day, it's important to prioritize people who are like actually going to consume your product or content and not just are like, oh, that's kind of interesting. You need to build that relationship and foster it, and then it'll translate to sales, growth, etc. But just try not to fixate on the actual number of followers, of views, of likes. If you get 10 likes and all 10 of those people were gonna buy your products versus you get 150 likes, but 2 people buy your products, which would you rather have? I'd rather have the 10. There you go. So I hope this helped, and let's head into 2024 strong, optimistic. Let's keep creating content. Remember, video is king. Engage with your subscribers, your followers, your customers, etc. Treat them like almost you would a friend. Like, nurture the ones that you already have. Yes, you want to grow, but focus on the people who are there and they're already supporting you, because that's like your tribe, that's your group. And if you can get more followers and growth based on a community of people who really believe in you, your service, your product, your brand, your business, etc., you're gonna win. So go out there, make some content, and I'll see you guys soon.